Hello to the TUC meeting, 1st of April. Today we have the agenda like every day, every time, and we will get the update of the Cloud Foundry on Kubernetes working group. Okay, let's us check the action items from last week as first agenda point. We have one action item which we are moving from meeting to meeting. I will give that one another chance. Let's see. If not, then maybe we can create action item. Maybe we can create an issue in the community repository and just direct there. And I see Georgi joined. Georgi, if you are ready, we can start with the update. Thank you for joining.
Yes, sorry, I had some issues with the audio. Yeah, I can share.
Okay, you want to share, I will stop.
So this is the April update of Kurifi. I think we had November last time. I'm Georgi Sabe from SAP. I'm the technical lead of Kurifi. So for the last couple of months, the new stuff that the group was dealing with, we had two releases. In the first one, we sort of completed the binding services support. Now binding to managed services is actually already possible. We had also some real usage testing from Any9s, and we tested with real brokers. So services support is working pretty well, although there are some small issues every now and then. Another interesting thing in 0.14.0 was the new experimental UAA support, which means that if you have a UAA instance from another Cloud Foundry Classic installation, or something that you just installed and configured with a backing IDP, you can now plug it into Kurifi, which also means that you can stop relying on the CF on Kate's property in the CFCLI config and use Kurifi a little bit like its classic CF. It's more compatible, so to say. And then the users are coming from the UAA, and everything else works the Kubernetes way as we know it today. It's still experimental. The UAA is not included in Kurifi. You have to bring your own. It's not really defined how to do so yet. Maybe in the future this will change, so stay tuned. We have also implemented a lot of new V3 API compatibility work, improved the V3 API support with new handlers. I'm not going to get into details because if you open the Kurifi releases, there are release notes that are quite detailed there, but this is one of our major tracks. We're trying to close in the gap there. And also notable improvement is performance when listing resources, because for technical reasons, it turned out that when you're listing apps or routes or other resources that are just v3/resource type, the performance is n squared or something like that in terms of HTTP request to Kubernetes. So I think it's now just linear, and it's already quite acceptable, although it can be improved further. Because I think for 100 apps, it was already close to a minute for listing them. Now it's milliseconds. And yeah, as I said, there is more room for improvement there. And I think these are the highlights of 14.0. We just got 0.15.0 last week. the most notable part here is experimental support for pluggable log cache. I don't know if you know, but reading logs and metrics from Kurifi was done in a way that basically binds Kurifi to particular technologies like the metric server, which is not really meant for metering like that, and also to reading pod logs. And there were some assumptions there that were not that were breaching the abstraction a little bit. Right now, what we have done is there is a value, and you can plug your own log cache endpoint, and log cache is the same API that we're using for classic CF. So now, if someone implements log cache and gets data from Prometheus or some other sources that are watching the Kubernetes cluster, they can have more reliable logging and metrics. So yeah, that's something we had to do because of some specific needs in SAP, but I believe it will be also very useful for the larger community. I don't know yet if SAP is going to open source our particular implementation. It's not clear yet, and also the support is experimental, so it can change, but it's an interesting development. Another interesting thing from the SAP side is that there is already one of our colleagues at SAP filed an application security groups proposal where he suggests how we can implement all the CLI commands related to security groups and several of the V3 endpoints there. I will send the slides afterwards so you can check out the proposal, and work has already started. We have the first pull request open for review. So yeah, I guess in some of the next releases, we're going to also offer application security groups, increasing application security groups support on Kurifi. And I think that's more or less what's been going on during the last couple of months. And then what's next? I would say it's not exactly super clear right now because of unclear priorities in SAP. Some of the topics that we're considering apart from the security groups, which is already scheduled and we're working on it, some of the other topics are maybe pluggable authorization, meaning that we might want to detach Kurifi from concrete authorization models like RBAC. So we might put custom role and user resources there, and by default resolve them to RBAC. There are also some discussions with regards to running the workloads on multiple clusters, but this is in a really early phase. So I'm not really sure how and when these things will materialize, but I'm just giving them here as a potential trend that the working group is going to head to. And also there is this quotas thing with a question mark. There was a guy, I think David Escudino, but I forgot the company. So we had an external guy reaching out with suggestion to contribute quotas, which will be great, but he hasn't joined our things lately, so I don't really know if that's going to happen or not. It is just something that I can put in brackets. I hope we'll get back in touch. And with this, I think that's everything noteworthy from the past few months.
Okay. Thank you for the update, Georgi. Are there any questions?
How does multi-cluster work?
It's not exactly clear yet. It's just I'm just giving some. Basically, the idea is that we have Kurifi as basically holding you know about the custom resources of Kurifi. You have CF up and it gets materialized not directly to a stateful set, but there is this intermediate resource that's called an up workload. And up workload gets translated to a stateful set. And if you can do that, then you can bring your own custom controller, and that custom controller can put it on different clusters potentially. You can do it directly by targeting a different cluster, or you can use something like crossplane. There are many ways that you can go about it. There has been also developments like kubefed and Karmada. Right now, we're just in early phase. It's just something that SAP needs to do because of increased scale, because every Kubernetes cluster has certain limits which are not too big. So we have to have a plan of scaling out workloads horizontally when they become too many. So that's the general idea.
How are you gonna handle ingress?
It's also another thing that we're discussing right now internally. Unfortunately, I'm not too deep into the details here. We have other colleagues who are also working in the classic Cloud Foundry routing, who have ideas, but I'm not too familiar with them.
Okay, that's an interesting problem space.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's not really clear when and how these are going to materialize. I just wanted to give some possible directions that we're going to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we have sort of delivered the managed services epic. We have issues. We're going to keep fixing them, etc. But it's not immediately clear what we're going to tackle. And we also have, it's not just the team. We're 3 people like contributing on this full time, but there are also other colleagues, like, for example, application security groups are done by external contributors. So it's really a question of SAP's internal priorities, and based on that, the intensity of contribution might vary, and also the possible directions. So
Yeah.
I'm vague here because I really don't know that much. It's a very active discussion phase, so to say.
Another possibility is maybe to do it at the CF layer. So you just have multiple CFs deployed, micro CFs. Like the question is, are you gonna solve it on the Kubernetes side, or are you gonna solve it on the CF API side?
So what?
I don't know, just have like the ability to push an app to, I don't know, multiple foundations. I mean, we already have our deployments or targets. We have already something like that with I think there were projects around that, right? Like, I don't know what it was called. This app definition thing where you could have it deploy on multiple CF API endpoints.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm familiar with that. I think we're more
What's it called?
targeting on solving it on the Kubernetes level if you ask about multi-cluster and horizontal scale up. So we're going to, the plan is to do it on Kubernetes side, but if you can send some links about
Yeah,
the,
well,
we can also take a look at this.
Ideally, you would like to have also CF API and the ingress somehow one ingress for in a multi-cluster setup. But yeah, you have to find out how to get to that.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm not too familiar. I think we're exploring non-gateway API approaches because of some concerns, some scaling concerns as well. But I really don't know too much. What I know is that we had to explicitly make the gateway API router optional again, so that people can bring their own routing that's not based on the gateway API. Maybe just Istio based or something like that. It's just there are many open questions right now, and a lot of these questions are interlinked.
Yeah, most time the issue with if you use Kubernetes patterns to implement something is that really fast you generate too many objects which get the cluster down. And yeah, that's why we are looking into ways how we can reduce the Kubernetes objects generated per application or per route, something like that.
beautiful system.
Yes. You can implement everything or nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Georgi. Is there anything we can help with from TUC side?
I can't think of anything. Maybe just one small thing is that we want to take ownership, because I'm the tech lead right now and the execution lead is Birdrock, but Birdrock I think is now working on other things inside Broadcom.
He's joined my area, yeah.
So I think I plan on opening a PR that changes our working group, that maybe I become the execution lead and Daniel from our group becomes the tech lead, because we're anyway leading the project right now. And they've already resigned a few weeks back. And the guys are generally in agreement that the working group lead should be active. So it's not really a request, maybe like more like a heads up that we're probably going to open this pull request. I have tried to reach Birdrock, but he hasn't responded. So I guess if I just do it and then leave it for a couple of weeks, or I don't know how much time it's required so that he can see it, is that a possible way to do it, to switch the leadership, or do we necessarily need to
Just make it and I can make sure he sees it.
Yeah, okay. I don't think he'll object. I think
Yeah, I agree.
other focuses and stuff. So I'll open the PR in the near future, and yeah, you'll see it in the TUC.
Otherwise, we have an RFC in place if there is no reaction from one side and the working group needs help, we can take decision in help with the decision taking.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to notify him, because I'm doing these updates for I don't know how long already, so we can just switch the leadership. It's just a formal thing. We're like three-man show right now. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you again. If you like, you can stay. We will continue just with the agenda.
But I'm gonna have to run.
I found the project that I was mentioning. It's multi-apps controller or multi-apps plugin.
This is, yeah, we know about this. Yeah, we know about this. This is yeah, it's an SAP thing anyway. I think it was delivered by SAP. Yeah, thank you for the reference anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna have to run. So have a nice rest of the day and see you next time.
Bye bye. Take
Bye.
care. Okay, let me share again. We can continue with the dashboard. Let's see. Wow, it's an empty dashboard regarding PRs. Finally, we got it done.
Yeah.
RFCs. Okay, no RFCs. Now RFC status. So this one is now implemented. I also saw it in working. I experimented a little bit with the feature. Yeah, then I think we can set it to done. Or are there any objections?
I think last time we discussed that we want official release parties, right, for everything that's delivered, with gift baskets for TOC members and stuff like that.
Swag, new swag.
Like yeah.
It's happening.
Sure. I mean, you can also just close the issue. I mean, like, it's up to you, right? I'm just.
Yeah, we can collect all the parties and then do it Cloud Founder Day.
Yeah.
You are not coming, Ruben?
No, I'm not.
Chris, what about you? Are you coming, actually?
Nope. We are under a continuous resolution, which means we can't spend a dime. So
Okay.
travel, training, and all that is all suspended, unfortunately.
Okay, unfortunate. Oh, so only Amelia, you are planning to join.
If I get budget, I'm trying. It looks good.
Yeah, I also booked my tickets. Let's see. I used the template for creating issues was we fixed last time, and now I created an issue for the this RFC, which we approved a couple of weeks back, and it is almost done. Only the documentation is missing, so I will put in progress this one. I think this with the multi-orgs, Stephan started to work on this. Yeah, this is also in progress. We have the first PR. We approved last week. And this should be also in progress, this IPv6. So we have some already some PRs. I have to check about the right linking. Okay. Noble should be also finished soon. So the validation issues has been resolved. I think now we have to take the decision to publish a GA stem cell, most probably in our working group, foundational infrastructure.
Yep.
Okay, this is all about RFCs. On the issues side, there is no new one. Then we can continue with any other business.
Yeah.
Do we have? Yeah.
So there's some I don't know, another round of cleanups going on in IS accounts on the Broadcom side. And as part of that, we're identifying, like, I think the policy now is that we can have no accounts that are internet connected or something. So we have like firewalled off versions of GCP accounts, for example, that we need to move to. And we found that there's still a few accounts where we're hosting blobs for wash releases. And we're planning, or we're trying to move those to Foundation. So I already worked with Chris to try to figure out what the process is for that. I mean, he gave me, I think, project mover status or permissions, and created a separate directory within our GCP account. And I'm now trying to get the right permissions also on the Broadcom side so that I can start moving these projects over. And we're trying to move the projects instead of creating new buckets so that we don't end up with another supply chain attack issue, right? When we rename the bucket, that's not great. So rather move the projects. So that's in progress, at least for the GCP side. I don't know if AWS is also affected, but we'll see. Just stuff that's in flight right now.
I was thinking about what do we need an issue to for transparency, or it's not so easy to describe what the blobs.
Yeah, we can maybe once I figure out what we're gonna do. I mean, like, there's basically one. Wait, let me find what I had a thread with Chris. There's an this is basically the idea. I found there's a YouTube video from Google that mentions the process or describes the process. It's not that complicated. It's basically like moving a GitHub repo, but you need the right permissions in both places. So someone needs to be needs the right permissions on both sides. So and I think like it took Chris maybe 10 minutes or something to set it up, but it's like I need to within broad. It's mostly a Broadcom internal problem, right? Like finding the right people that have the right permissions and then convincing them to give the permissions to me and stuff like that. So it's actually GCS Google buckets that we're currently targeting. I don't know about the S3s yet. So it's Google projects. We're trying to move a few. I think at least I'm aware of a UAA one, and I think Carson reached out, which probably means it's logs and metrics. And there's one related to stem cells, the wash window stem cells for the CFF. So those are just the ones I'm aware of, and there might be more. But I thought to first go through the process with these, and then we can maybe create some more guidance once we figure out the process. So just want to share it for awareness if other people start asking about it, and you know that I'm working on this.
Yeah, or if someone reports issues somewhere. And as mentioned, KubeCon is happening. CF has also a booth there. Next time we
boat?
Yeah.
For hotel reasons?
No, I mean a booth, stand, how
Booth.
Oh, a booth. I thought you said a boat. You know, like how like Salesforce in San Francisco rents like a cruise ship. I was like, whoa.
So next time we can plan maybe a live stream from that one to see how many people are around. Yeah. Do we have anything else? Okay, then we are done for today. Thanks for joining. See you next week and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.
Maybe one thing shortly. So we are through with the working group updates. I will suggest to pause until CF day is over and then start again.
Sounds good.
Works for me.
Okay. I will put this in the meeting notes because I don't think we need to urge people to provide updates so often. Okay, then see you. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.